If you don't if you
Mm.
don't follow them, then we will be facing problems. So this is the understanding. And then we discussed how varnashrama that was created to help people uh, free from envy, society devoid of envy, to protect bhakti. That was the main purpose. And here Priyavrat Maharaj, he was renouncing his kingdom and all. So this is the first chapter which we are going to discuss today. And desired to remain brahmachari. He was ordered by Lord Brahma to accept kingdom. The analysis is that premature renunciation leads to chaos. By accepting his karma and following the order of the Lord, Priyavat's power and influence increase immensely. And then the third, even though he thought he was above it, he eventually developed attachment. So it was safer for him to go through the experience, that is staying in one's lane, than to artificially reject. Then there is the story of his father Agnidhara, sorry, son Agnidhara. And due to both undue detachment, undue attachment, both are actually binding the soul. One leads to pride, other leads to degradation. So this is the lesson we discussed. The goal is to follow the drive, that is Lord's instruction, rather than one's own whimsical behavior. And then there is a story of imitation versus reality. So Avadhuta is not an imitation, it's a reality. Because, and the in teaching of Rishabdevas, tapo divyam putrakayana sattam shuddhe desmat brahma saukyam. So purpose of human life is for tapasya, divine austerities, and that also within the boundaries of civilized human society. And then we have the next one is the fall and rise of Bharat Maharaj, the karma and divine protection. So Bharata retired to the forest perfectly but developed an inorbitant attachment to a baby deer. At death, he thought of the deer, and then we say this proves that deep seated desires, karma, can resurface even in seclusion without higher association. So this is the understanding we get from this pastime of Bharat Maharaj, how he got affected by the deer. And Vaikuntha Vijay's Lord is going to protect his devotees no matter in whatever state and situation the devotee may be. So this is the important lesson we learn from that. So Lord is always protecting. And then here is the story of King, the interaction of Jadabharata and King Rahugana. So the main thing is this conversation deconstructs the society of envy. It teaches how to perform external duties, even million ones, like carrying a palanquin, while maintaining an internal consciousness that is detached from temporary degradation. And then here, God centered. This is actually what happened to the modern society. There is an U-turn in the modern society. They are from God centered, they have become matter centered. And if we just evolve, there is no divine boundaries to respect. Anyway, this is about the consequences of modern way of living, that is matter centered society. So fifth canto argues the universe is not random mechanics; it's a school designed for the elevation of soul. So then this comes, the next part of this fifth canto is about the geography of the universe. So Bharatavarsha unique. It is only place where new karma and dharma can be generated. So this all we discussed yesterday, so I'm just going through it. So upper planetary system only spending good karma, lower planetary system for suffering. Earth is a place of choice. Only here can we change our destiny. So the universe is a multi-dimensional structure where every region worships the Supreme Lord in a specific mode. So then we saw this mechanism. It is a natural law, not arbitrary punishments. So the hellish and degradation, anything that happens, it is not arbitrary. It's a proper. So not arbitrary punishments. Okay. And following the laws of nature evaluates consciousness and station. So transgressing the laws leads to downgrade. And if one jumps off a cliff, gravity acts. If you break moral laws, the universe reacts. So this is the understanding. So the mechanism is there is vertical dimension, evolution and degradation. So it is up and down the universe. It is not. We should not think that whatever I do it will work. No, there is heavenly planets also, earthly planets also, and lower planets also. All three are there, who are properly maintained, and then so Vaikunta Vijayat is one who controls the boundaries. So here also, if we act according to the will of Lord, then it is safe. If a devotee sincerely tries to follow the path, even if he slips, like Bharat Maharaj, the Lord ensures there is ultimate success. The ropes are there to guide up to him and not to bind him. So, and the last one is finding our place. We have to respect the boundaries and follow the system properly. So this is basically, of course, I will show this other part also where we have the mind map which we discussed. So all these points which we have discussed, that was the presentation and this is the notes. So we have discussed understanding of absolute truth through the 10 topics of Bhagavatam. Fifth canto is about the establishing boundaries, their metaphysical boundaries, and then we saw the moral law within, that is Priyavrat Maharaj. He was having still some traces. So because he followed his properly duty, which in the what is the rules and regulations, materially also he became very successful. And then we saw this how each canto is connected to 10th canto. Then Agnidhara is overly attached, undue detachment and undue attachment. So this is the two things. And then we discussed Rishabdev. He gave a thing, one is to teach and another is to show the purpose of life is austerities, and he showed by his example also. Then we have the next one is Maharaj Arhat. He is imitating Rishabdev. Priyavrat Varnashram principles we have discussed. Then Bharat Maharaj story, how he lacked association and then because of some traces of offenses he fell down. And how Varnashram is a society which is devoid of envy and free from lust. Two purposes are there. And then we saw Jadavara's teaching with Rahugana. So this is all talking about at a level of Varnashrama, but properly following with a proper spiritual identity. So now we will start our the first chapter. This is the activities of Maharaj Priyavrat. This is a very detailed way to understand the same point which we have discussed, how Brahma is Brahma and Swayambhu Manu are telling him to get married. Of course, the external reason that is given is because Uttanapada's lineage ended with Daksha. Daksha, instead of begetting children, he goes for performing austerities till Chakshasha mantra. Next 4 manvantras, I think 5 manvantras, he is just busy in performing austerities, and that's the reason there was no descendant from Uttanapada. Then Swayambhu Manu comes to Priyavrata. He says, now you continue because your brother's lineage ended. Now you take up the job. But Priyavrat Maharaj is not interested. He's saying, I am already busy with something else. Why are you disturbing? That Swayambhu Manu feels that he still has some traces. Of course, Acharya still that it was the will of Lord that he do this job. And there will be some attachment that happens to him because of undergoing it. And Parikshit Maharaj has a very interesting questions from the beginning only. He says, how can somebody who is already practicing so much sincerely is brahmacharya and on, why he has to why he has to enter into this household life, which is very risky. Why it is risky? It is not because it is the purpose of life is for tapasya, and in the family life you get so much enjoyment, so it causes so much disturbance. If we are given so much enjoyment, that's why heavenly planets are not favorable for bhakti anytime. It always it takes a person into wrong direction, and it happens for everyone. Indra also, after Govardhan Leela, he understood Krishna is Supreme Lord, and in Krishna goes and he helps Indra by killing Narakasura and brings Diti's earrings, and then he brings umbrella of Varuna. All these things Narakasura stole. He goes, fights with Narakasura, comes back and gives to Indra. And when Krishna wanted to take Parijata tree, Indra again started fighting with him. Why? Just now you saw that he is the Supreme Lord and he did so much for you, and again you are fighting with him. How is it possible? Yeah, this is possible because you become proud when you get so much opulence. And that's actually applicable to everyone. So heavenly planets are not favorable. Even though he knows that Krishna is Supreme Lord, still he could not properly behave with him. So anyway, we will try to understand this section. So we'll start with the first verse here. King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, a great sage, why did King Priyavrat, who was great self-realized devotee, of Lord remain in household life, which is the root cause of bondage of karma, fruitive activity, and which defeats the mission of human life. So, anytime when we get sense gratification, there is always a chance of forgetting the Lord. So, there is a tendency to have a mentality of lording it over material nature. So, this tendency is what is the problem. We have, means woman is prakriti and man is like purusha, so he is trying to control prakriti, but as such jivatma is always prakriti only, so he is trying to become master because he has that facility now. He has his subjects, he is, children are there, wife is there, and everybody is obeying him, so you have that facility, so automatically the tendency come, so which is the root cause of bondage. So family life is considered the root cause of bondage, and it is not uh, because the tendency is like that for everyone, because the tendency to enjoy is there very strong, so that's why it is very dangerous to remain in household life for a long time, or at least that mentality will not go so easily. So whole Bhagavatam is going to tell this, and other Shastras are also there. So Prabhupada is writing the fourth canto, Sukadeva Goswami explained Narada Muni perfectly instructed King Privarta about the mission of human life. The mission of human life is to realize oneself and then gradually go back to Godhead. So since I will share the PPT. So, why did he again enter into household, which is the main cause of material bondage? Parikshit was greatly astonished that King Priyavrat remained in household life, especially since he was not only self-realized soul but also a first-class devotee of the Lord. So here Parikshit Maharaj gave up that and he is sitting and discussing. So he got surprised. So how is it possible he is behaving like this? And that is Lord's desire. That's why it happened. So Priyavrato Bhagavata Atmarama Katam Mune Grihe Amrita Yan Moolaha Karma Bandha Parabhavaha. So this is the question is asking. So one must argue. So Priyavrata enjoyed household life very much. One may argue, why is it wrong to enjoy household life? The Prabhupada is asking this question. The reply is that in household life one becomes bound with results of fruitive activities. Wow, this is such a wonderful point. Please try to understand. We will be bound by the results of fruitive activity. So this fruitive mentality is what is the problem which we all face. It is there in everywhere, and especially for Grihastha life, this fruitive mentality the main cause of bondage. Main cause. So what happens is, we in Grihasthashram, I and mine is very prominent. I and mine. So if we say I and mine, then immediately we want I and mine to be better. The ego comes. We start identifying, and then we are interested in result. What I am getting. If I do a job, I need money. Then I have wife. Then I have children. I have to work with them. I have to take care of them. I have to see that they get everything. And every time we are working on the profit. What I'll get, what I'll get, what I'll get. If I attend the class, what I'll get. If I do this job, what I'll get. But advantage in other ashram, brahmachari or vanaprastha or sannyas, they don't need anything for themselves. So then it becomes very easy to do selfless work. So the essence of household life is sense enjoyment, and as long as one is engrossed uh, in working hard for sense gratification, enjoyment, one becomes bound by the reactions of fruitive activities. This ignorance of self realization is the greatest defeat in human life. The human form of life is especially meant for getting out of the bondage of fruitive activities. Please try to observe how much fruitive mentality we have every day. Anything we do, you can very clearly observe this fruitive mentality. This is because of mode of passion. We cannot easily give up, always looking for profit. And then what happens? As long as we have this, so especially for getting out of the bondage of fruitive activity. But as long as one is forgetful of his life's mission, acts like ordinary and eating, mating, sleeping, defending, he must continue his conditioned life of existence. So please see how much we have this fruitive mentality. Even like if I give any video we make, immediately I'm telling my tendency. I want to see how many views the video has. This is the problem. This is the bondage. But it is easy for if you are in another ashrams, because not much not much attachment will be there. Even if you have 10 views or you have 1,000 views, the pleasure for giving class is same only. So not a much problem. Like now I am giving class, so how many are sitting and hearing does not matter. Main thing matters is I am getting an opportunity to speak about Krishna. That matters. So it is easy at one level with this what do you say, with these ashrams and all. But otherwise it is quite difficult if we are in the attachment is more. So such a life is called no Swarupa Vismita. Vismrita, forgetfulness of one's real constitutional position. Therefore, in Vedic civilization, one is trained in the very beginning of life as brahmacharya. Brahmacharya must execute austerities and refrain from sex life. Therefore, if one is completely trained in the principles of brahmacharya, then this becomes easy. Then he can remain Naishtika brahmachari, and then further he goes. So Priyavrata also got trained like that. So the bird Bhagavata Atma Ramaha. If one is self-satisfied as is the Supreme Lord, is called Bhagavat Atma Ram. So Manushyasyasya Sahasrashu. Manusyanam Sahasrashu. So this is what Bhagavad Gita is telling. So, and now this question of Sukadeva Parikshit Maharaj is very genuine. He says, how come he did this job? So then for this, Nanunam Mukta Sanganam Tadrishanam Dvijarshabha Griheshu Abhigniveshoyam Pumsam Bhavatu Arhati. Devotees are certainly liberated person, therefore, O great Brahmana, they cannot possibly be absorbed in family affairs. So, you see, what is the criteria Parikshit Maharaj has for devotees? They cannot be absorbed in family affairs. So this is what he is expecting. How can you be absorbed? Because their absorption should be on Supreme Lord. So we were discussing this point. Our advancement is known based on how much absorption we have. So advancement is proportionate to absorption. One may be very learned, scholarly, and he can present so many things. And but how much is absorbed in absorption in what? Absorption in the holy name. So Nama Rupa Guna Leela. So this is where we should get absorption. First we should get absorption in Nama, then Rupa, then Guna, then Leela, like that. So at least, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. How much we are getting absorption, that much advanced we are. It is not how much scholarly I am, how much knowledge I have, or how much I am presenting, or any other, how many temples I made, how many things I did. That is not the criteria only. So here absorption is the criteria. If somebody is able to sit and very peacefully chant, we should know that he has better absorption. That means he is advanced. Array, I made a temple and I'm working very hard to maintain the temple. But this person is coming to temple, doing some simple service, sitting and meditating on the holy name nicely. We should understand that this person is making more advancement because he is able to meditate, absorb. So our services are meant to get absorption only. Even if I am making a temple, at the end, when I sit for chanting, if I am getting absorption, then that is success. So one can understand the transcendental position of the living being and the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord cannot be understood by any means except by bhakti. Bhaktyamam avijanati. Since bhakti and associates are liberated, everyone is searching after ananda or bliss. So what is the main question here? Na? Array, you are already satisfied na, with bhakti. Why you need family? So Maharaj Parikshit's question is, so you are already internally satisfied. So you are internally satisfied. Why household life? Why marriage? If I am not satisfied inside, then I need support. Then you want for the soul level. This is also another thing to know. It is not that physical need is there for people who are marrying. It's an emotional need. It's a desire from the heart. So heart is not satisfied. So they need some emotional bondage. So this is why people get marriage. So now Priyavrti Parikshit Maharaj asking, Are is already bhakti is doing, he is not getting absorption in material things, there is no question that he will get material absorption. Then because he is satisfied, why he need emotional bondage? Very important, nice question, right? So we should also think what will be the answer. Elevated Mahatmas who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Lord are fully satisfied by the shade of the lotus, those lotus feet. Their consciousness cannot possibly be attached to family members. So there is no absorption, there is no attachment. So here no attachment. So previous sloka was absorption. If they are not absorbed, well, that's how it happens now. First absorption, then attachment. Attachment. Of course, from attachment comes absorption also, but they are connected. Like dhyayato vishyan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate, sanga sanjayate kama. So if you are too much meditating on something, so your absorption means meditation and attachment. Meditation, then attachment. Then comes absorption also. So Narottam Das Thakur has sung Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chanda Sushitala. We have Nityanand Tradasi coming. So Ye Chai Jagatar Judai. He describes the shade of lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu as being so nice and cooling that all materialists who are always in the blazing fire of material activity may come under the shade of lotus. So Saturday is Nityananda Tradasi and Narottam Das Thakur's appearance on Sunday. So, and we are hearing about from both of them. The distinction between family life and spiritual life can be experienced by any person who has undergone the tribulation of living with family and who comes under the shelter of lotus feet of Lord never becomes attached with the activities of family life. So if you want to come out of it, what we should do? The distinction between family life we can be experienced any person who has undergone the tribulation of family life, who comes under the shelter. That means so much pain is there in family life. When comes to lotus feet of Krishna, then he says yes. Then param drishtva nivartate, he will get a higher taste. Then automatically he will give up other things. So the next shloka says that the king continued, O great Brahmana, this is my great doubt. How was it possible for a person like King Priyavrata, who was attached to wife, children and home, to achieve the topmost infallible perfection in Krishna consciousness? So now he got attached, and then how will he come out of it? So this was the last part of his question. So king wondered, how a person so attached to wife and children, home, could become so perfectly Krishna conscious. Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirna Krishna parasatsatova mito vipadyeta grahavratana. A Grihavrata, one who has taken a vow to execute family duties, have no chance to become Krishna conscious. This is because most Grihavratas are guided by sense gratification and therefore gradually glide down to the darkest region of mental existence. Adanta Gobir Vishatamta Mishram. Now we will see what Sukadeva Goswami has to answer. So now Sukadeva Goswami is telling that what you have said is correct. So he is acknowledging it. The glories of Supreme Lord, who is praised in eloquent transcendental verses by such exalted persons as Brahma, are very pleasing to great devotees and liberated persons. One who is attached to the nectarian holy name of Lord's lotus feet and whose mind is always absorbed in the glories of the Lord may sometimes be checked by some impediments, but still he never gives up exalted position he has acquired. So this is a nice point he is telling first. Grahavrata means he has taken the vrata of Grihastha Ashram. Grahavrata. He is fixed in Grihastha Ashram very nicely. That is the point there. And Sukadeva Goswami is also accepting it. Parikshit Maharaj, he was Grihastha, but he is able to get absorption and he is still asking the question. See, in the 4th verse which Parikshit Maharaj is asking, he himself is all these things he was having. So how is it possible that like Priyavrata, who is attached to wife, children, home, to achieve the topmost infallible perfection? Because Parikshit Maharaj is also concerned, I am also like this now. What will happen to me? So for that he is asking, is there any hope for Priyavrata Maharaj? If he has hope, then I also have hope, because I am also like him only. And same thing, we all should have get the doubt. Oh, Priyavrata Maharaj has family life and he attained perfection. What about me? I am also in the same situation. So what will happen? And for that, what is the point Sukadeva Goswami is telling? first thing is we should be attached to the first is the praise of the Lord is pleasing to great devotees and liberated souls. So he has given the first thing. Exalted verses are very pleasing. So Lord's glories are pleasing, and then you should be attached to the lotus feet of Lord. What does it mean to be attached to lotus feet of Lord? It is to always engage in the service of Lord. And this is the most important thing. There will be always impediments, but he will never give up his exalted position. That is the point. So if we are getting absorption in the praises of Lord, that means we are hearing Bhagavatam regularly. So first part is hearing. So when we hear Shushusho Shraddha Dhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi, then we are serving. That means attachment to the lotus feet. And then what happens? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Then we get absorption. Then only we will be able to overcome impediments. And these problems always will come. Always there will be obstacles. And we will never give up our exalted position. So family life means problems, but we have to do these things properly. Sukadeva Goswami accepted both the king's proposition, both of king's proposition, that person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness cannot embrace a materialistic life, and that one who has embraced materialistic life cannot take up Krishna consciousness at any stage of his existence. Although accepting both these statements, Sukadeva Goswami qualifies them by saying that a person who has once absorbed in mind in the glories of Lord may sometimes be influenced by impediments, still he does not give up his exhausted devotional service. So this is the impediments will come. So this is compulsory. Compulsory problems. But he will never give up his exalted position. So Lord is going to protect. And if we commit offenses, especially, this is the point Prabhupada is telling, we will get all these problems. We should never, this one thing we should be always careful, not committing offenses. A very dangerous thing. So Priyavrata accepted family, but this did not mean that he lost his position in devotional service. Krishna consciousness is perfect and eternal, therefore it cannot be lost under any circumstances. So Kaunteya Pratijanehi Namai Bhakta Pranashati. Prabhupada is writing back to back purports that sloka. Devotional path is so auspicious that a devotee cannot be lost under any circumstances. So here this is explained Vishnu Chakra. Tatratvam buddhi samyogam labante paurva dehikam yatate cha tato bhuyaha samsiddho kurunandana. So this is what Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita. Don't worry. So sometimes a perfect devotee sometimes come to the material world like an ordinary human being because of his previous practice. Such a perfect devotee naturally becomes attached to devotional service, apparently without cause. So many points Prabhupada is telling here. Prahlad said, Matirna Krishna Parasat. So these apparent contradictions are resolved in life of a devotee by the grace of Lord, and therefore a devotee is never bereft of his position in the path of liberation. So Prabhupada has a very nice way of explaining these things, that sometimes by the order of Lord people come. And then he gives example of Billumangal Thakur, an advanced devotee in previous life, but in next life he became greatly fallen and was attached to a prostitute, and he could come out of it. The fact is that one becomes a devotee when he is completely free from all reactions to sinful life. So we'll see the next verse. Huge verse is this. Now Sukadeva Goswami, my dear king, Prince Priyavrat was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, a spiritual master, and thus achieved the highest perfection, transcendental knowledge. With advanced knowledge, he always engaged in discussing spiritual subjects and did not deviate his attention to anything else. The prince's father then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. He tried to convince Priyavrata that this was his duty as indicated in the revealed scriptures. However, Priyavrata was continuously practicing Bhakti Yoga by continually remembering Supreme Lord, thus engaging all his senses in the service of Lord. Therefore, although the order of father could not be rejected, the prince did not welcome it. Thus, he very consciously raised the question of whether he might be deviated from devotional service by accepting the responsibility of ruling over the world. So this is the question he is asking. Because I am doing things very nicely and suddenly a spiritual master comes and tells, okay, now this service you are doing nicely. Now, like Prabhupada told to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, go to China and preach. He told some things, and then suddenly Tamal Krishna Maharaj says, oh, I cannot do all these things, better I go to China and preach. Prabhupada said, okay, go. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Prabhupada, I am joking. Prabhupada said, no, you cannot joke with spiritual master. You should go and preach. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj goes. So, but sometimes you feel that this things is going to disturb my absorption in Krishna. Then we have to consider it. We have to discuss. Anything that is stopping us from absorption in Krishna, we have to try to avoid that situation. So, Narottam Das Thakur saying, Chaya Vaishnava Seva Nisthare Pachai Kave. Without serving the lotus feet of pure Vaishnava, no one can ever attain perfect liberation. Prince Priyavat regularly served the lotus feet of Narada, and thus the prince perfectly understood the transcendental subject matters. So this is the way to understand. We have to everyday Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. So this absorption, this worship of Guru only gives knowledge. Otherwise we will only have information. This is, we discussed this point also. Knowledge and information. So these two things should be properly followed. And that happens only by the mercy of Guru. Otherwise it is not possible. If Guru is not showing mercy, forget about it. We will not get anything. And how Guru shows mercy? When we serve him. So Prabhupada mission is the only hope for us. Otherwise there is no hope. Nobody can give us that realization. So Priyavrata has complete knowledge. He knows the Super Soul, Supreme Lord. When Priyavrata's father Swayambhu Manu requested him to accept responsibility of ruling over the world, he did not welcome the suggestion. This is the symptom of great liberated devotees. Even though engaged in worldly affairs, he does not take pleasure in them, but remains always absorbed in service. So who joined Brahmachari ashram, they know this, how the pressure comes from, especially mother. Even the son is in 40s also, she will still hope that my son will get married. While thus serving the Lord, he deals externally with worldly affairs without being affected. For example, although he has no attraction for his children, he cares for them and educates them to become devotees. This is very nice point. This we have discussed many times, but here Prabhupada is also writing the same thing. So, while serving the Lord, this you have to see how nicely Prabhupada is guiding all of us. So, this is especially for Grihasthas who are working and who are doing. Even though engaged in worldly affairs, he does not take pleasure in them. So, this is the first thing. No pleasure should come. But remains always absorbed in Lord's service. Second is absorption in Lord's service. While the serving the Lord, he deals externally with worldly affairs without being affected. So, this is the third thing. So, we should, he does not take pleasure in the worldly affairs, is absorbed in the Lord, and he deals without being affected. So, here the criteria is given. This is such a nice guidelines for Grihasthas Prabhupada is giving. Although there is no attraction for his children, he cares for them, educates them to become devotees. Please try to understand. So, there is no attraction. Still, care is there. Care is there for them, and he educates them. Similarly, he speaks to his wife with affectionate words, but he is not attached to her. So, this is also important thing. Most important thing. He speaks to his wife with affection, but is not attached to her. So, by rendering devotional service, a devotee acquires all the good qualities of Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna had 16,000 wives, all of them very beautiful. Although he dealt with them, each of them as a beloved husband, he was not attracted or attached to any of them. In the same way, although a devotee may enter family life and act very affectionately towards his wife and children, he is never attached to these activities. इससे देवे परा भक्तिरेता देवे तथा गुरु तस्यै प्रकाशन्ते महात्मनः. So, this is what Prabhupada and Sukadeva Goswami has to say. We'll just take a few more verses. He says that Sukadeva Goswami continued, the first created being, the most powerful demigod in the universe is Lord Brahma, who is always responsible for developing universe affairs, born directly from the Supreme Lord. He dedicates his activities to the welfare of entire universe, for he knows the purpose of universal creation. The supreme powerful Lord Brahma's accompanied by his associates, they are the personified Vedas, and everybody came there and left his own abode in the higher planetary system and descended to the place of Priyavrat's meditation. So Brahma is coming because the issue is very grave issue, serious issue. And here onwards the praise to Brahma is given, and then Brahma's instructions, which are very important, that we have to discuss very nicely. Here Prabhupada is telling everybody has their own abode and they have the predominating deity there. So Brahma is coming from Brahmalo, that is, he is a predominating deity there. As Lord Brahma on his descended on his chariot, great one, all the residents of planets, the Loka, Gandharloka, they are all praising. And then later on in the verse where Sukadeva Goswami, sorry, Sukadeva Goswami and others also, they also very nicely respect. As soon as Narada Muni saw his Supreme Lord, Parikshit, Priyavrat Maharaj and Swayambhu Muni also give respect. As soon as Narada saw the great Swayam, he understood Brahma is coming. He stood up along with Swayambhu, Manu, Priyavrata. Then they offered their respectful obeisances. Because that is also very important. If you have that appreciation for the speaker, and we learn very fast. And he is telling, my dear king, because Lord Brahma has finally descended from Satyaloka to Bhuloka, Narada Muni, Prince Priyavrat came forward to offer him objects of worship and praised him highly with highly qualified prayers. So this is another very important thing. Say if small child comes and suddenly offers obeisances at your feet, then what happens? Immediately we get some compassion in the heart. We want to do something. Like sometimes what happens in the metro I'm traveling, suddenly some children come and touch the feet. We feel so compassionate for them. We want to do something for them in return. So in this way, when we go in front of the Supreme Lord and when we are bowing down to Him, Lord also will feel the same thing. Arey, He's coming and bowing down to me. Let me do something for this living entity. So in that way, Lord protects His devotees. Okay, from here Brahma's instructions are there, which we will discuss tomorrow. Any questions, comments before we end our session today? Okay, thank you all very much. We will continue tomorrow. Hopefully Prabhuji will be there. So, Hare Krishna. And this Friday, I have a podcast in Hare Krishna TV, mostly the science behind 4 regulative principles. If you are interested, you can join. Last week I gave on the whether Lord, what are the instructions of women from Bhagavad Gita, or whether Lord created woman weak. So that was my last time's topic, last Friday. And before that Friday I spoke on untimely death. So these are available on YouTube Hare Krishna channel live. And now this Friday I am giving another topic. So if somebody is interested, they can join. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.